Hi, I'm John Moore with JHM Technologies. To go over a few more of the features of the Infuser PRG, let's take a look at one that's very unique to the Infuser series of equipment. Here we are on the main menu, and the box in the top center, Teach. So what is the Teach? We go into the Teach screen. What we have here is the ability for the machine to be given the opportunity to remember what's going on. In other words, how often have we always taken a new mold or changed something in a current molding process and then kept a note, or in our mind kept it in memory what we actually did? That is, for flow rate, catalyst level, temperatures, what have you. Those values were either written down as a note or kept in memory or written on a mold somewhere with a magic marker. Well, the Infuser PRG can remember. So this is our starting phase of creating a recipe. So when we go into that Teach screen, the first thing we get is the opportunity to give it a name. So we would name it a value representing either a part name or a part number or a combination, and we enter that. So now this is the beginning, as I said, of a recipe. So here we then set the resin temperature. So same operation as a manual injection. We set the resin heat to, which again is the heater temperature, always a couple degrees higher than the target. In this case, it's set to 32 Celsius. The inject temperature set at 30 Celsius. And the actual temperature right now is 27 degrees. Now then, we've given it a value for injection pressure. And that injection pressure is the maximum limit. In other words, we're going to set in a moment here a speed that we're entering that mold. And keeping in mind that the speed or the volume or the velocity that that resin is entering the mold is the most critical factor in consistent mold process. Now, many of us will say, well, pressure is the issue. Pressure is a major concern. However, it's only something to be used as a governor. It's something to reference to give us indication something's wrong or something is being asked to do beyond the limits of the mold, but it isn't what we control the process by. So though, we got to give it a value. So we're going to enter in a set point, which is the maximum tolerance to pressure as we're flowing at the prescribed rate. So we enter that value. Catalyst percentage. Whatever percentage of catalyst that we know we need to have set that respectfully allow us time to fill the mold before the resin begins to pre-gel, but not be so long as it's going to take beyond reason for the mold to be opened. So depending upon our resin chemistry and a catalyst in use, we would then select a catalyst percentage, and we would enter that. So we would, under the Move To setting, we would press that box, and we would enter in a value. Now, once we put that value in, you say, well, nothing happened. Well, you're right. Until we push the box in the lower bottom center that says Move Catalyst, that's when the catalyst pump actually moves to the set point on the slave arm. That's an important feature to remember. You must tell it to move. Now you can see current and Move To are the same value. Now, set point, flow rate liters per minute. This is the key. And this is what differentiates the Infuser series of equipment and the philosophy behind it, and how we gain that unmatched process control and repeatability. Because we're focused on filling that mold volume, which is always the same. We have roughly the same amount of fiber each time, slight variance off a roll, but the same volume of fiber, same resin chemistry each time, same amount of resin though is the key. So we want to fill that mold consistently at the same speed and maintain that resin flow front to influence the air to go to the vent. And agreed, we don't want to do it with so much pressure that we start opening the mold. So we've given it a value to say, look, don't go over that value of pressure, but stay focused on this speed. Now, in the event that we do exceed that pressure setting, the machine's going to automatically stop, reset the flow rate all on its own, 10% lower, and begin again, because the governor is pressure, but the focus is speed. So we've given it a value for injection flow rate. At this point, we would start to begin the injection by hitting the green start button. And if during that injection we hit the button again, the green one, the machine will pause. Then we would start it again by hitting the green button one more time. What's going to happen, it's going to continue to count strokes as we're filling, and once we've stopped, we then hit the stop button, we would go in the lower left corner, having disconnected the mold, or the gun, the mix head, from the mold. We would aim the static mixer, which is the mix head, and in this case we're filling each time through a piece of tubing that we connect to a connection on the mold. We would point this into a flush bucket. We would hit the flush button either here or on the control arm of the remote control here on the static mixer. In either case, we're going to begin to blow air, solvent, and air and clean out the mix head to prevent it from gelling. So the teach mode at that point will have then created a recipe that we would find in the recipe file. So you go to that video and you can see just how that works once you have created that recipe.